G'day guys, Clint Adams here from Waterpro, and today we're recording episode 13 of The Full Landscape. Simon Rice from the Australian Lawn Fanatics has been kind enough to come in here and talk about lawn. In this podcast, we're going to drill down around the 4 pillars of lawn healthcare. We're going to answer some crowdsourced questions from the Facebook group. Really hope you enjoy this one. If you've got any questions at all, please comment below the social that you're listening to this or watching this on, and Simon will keep his eye on it. So yeah, sit back, relax and enjoy. Thank you.
Ready to turn it up tonight. If you really want to fly, put your hands in the air, let the music get you high.
Today we are sitting down with Simon Rice from the Australian Lawn Fanatics, which is a Facebook group with approximately 30,000 members.
It's about
now.
25. I checked sort of last
25?
night. So
I keep saying 30,000.
We're not far off the 25k mark, which is
I'm a big fan
quite
of
a good feeling.
saying the higher number and then working towards it. So,
Well, yeah, we can do that.
So yeah, we're at
It's
30,000.
100,000
It's 100,000 members.
dominating the market.
Australia's biggest. It would probably be Australia's biggest Facebook group dedicated to lawn.
I think so.
I can't think of anything else that's
There's
big.
plenty of pages out there.
Yeah.
I think the group format's probably a bit more appropriate though for grass, for turf, for lawn.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the group format in general, from a Facebook standpoint, is better because people are like actually actively engaging and they're choosing to be part of it. And I guess you're getting a better reach. And I don't know. I think that people aren't as shy to be part of a community when it's not being seen by everyone. When it's a private group kind of thing. What setting is this? It's a private group?
It's a private group, so you
Yeah.
obviously need to join to be able to view the content.
Yep.
But I think you're spot on though. Like I think in the past, doing a page for businesses and for certain market segments is really effective way
Yep.
to talk to your customers,
Like our
and your
page,
clients.
like
Exactly
Waterpro.
right.
We are a business.
Yep.
We have to have a Facebook page. It's part of the whole social media process.
But it's very hard to get engagement from your members back to you.
Yep.
And ask questions that can be viewed by more than just the
that's
admin
right,
on the
because
page
they don't want
as
their
well.
mates to see them asking questions that they
Potentially.
might think
there
makes
might
them
be
feel
people
silly
out there that don't want to be known as the lawn,
lawn geek,
freak
maybe?
or fanatic or geek, whatever they are. I think the stigma in the past of lawns being an old person's old timey pastime of mowing the lawn at 65 years old with a terry toweling hat. I think those days are gone now, and I think it's it's really moving into an area now where it's a lot of young people are out there getting involved and having a group.
If you look at that group, I haven't seen the demographics, but I imagine based on I understand about other lawn pages that I've seen the demographics for and Waterpro, that it's mainly males aged between kind of 25 and 45 and more, probably 25 and 35, but it's quite the opposite to probably the demographic that most people would expect.
Absolutely, yeah. It's crazy when you think about it now that you got probably young people that are perhaps getting into their first home, family, perhaps the days of going out and drinking and spending the whole weekend with a hangover probably gone.
Yeah.
And they're now starting to take pride in
There's
their
pride,
in their
that's
home.
right. Yeah.
So, I think from that point of view, it's exciting that we can get people out there enjoying their yards again, because I think in the past we've gone from these big blocks back to subdivisions and smaller blocks, and perhaps lawn hasn't been at the forefront of people's mind when it comes to home improvement. So
So how does a guy who sells tyres for a living become, I guess, the lawn geek firstly, and then so heavily involved in the Australian Lawn Fanatics?
I guess it's a bit of an evolution more than anything. I guess when I first sort of got into lawn, I didn't really have the expectation that I'm going to have this perfect lawn that I'm going to work on, multiple times a week. I think it's just like any sort of hobby, it just evolves over time.
And then all of a sudden you own 5 lawn mowers.
Exactly right. A bit like fishing. One day potentially you're down the jetty throwing a line in, and the next you've got yourself a
boat,
40 foot boat and 38 different all
of the tackle and the rods and
the rods,
the sounders and whatever else. This is a common thing that we talk about. Matt, who manages the shop's a massive fishing fan, and I just don't get it, don't understand it, can't. I think it's potentially because every time my dad took me fishing, it was very badly orchestrated, and we'd buy the bait on the way and it would be still frozen, or we just tried fishing in the port with the wrong size hooks using the wrong bait. So I guess you could tie that back to lawn, and then obviously what we're going to talk about later about you're going to get a better result when you have the right preparation and use the right tools.
And the basics around the fishing.
I understand I needed a hook
sizes,
but I didn't need the right. I didn't know what size hook. And I was a kid. So you obviously started your Lawn Geek page. I'm assuming originally it was just Simon Rice posting photos of his lawn on social, or how did it all start? Like back before the Australian Lawn Fanatics.
So I did have a Facebook page there for a while, and I was sort of giving information on tips and advice about how to maintain a good quality lawn. Mm-hmm. I kind of put that to the side though, probably about a year ago.
Yep.
And started to become a bit more involved with the Fanatics. I found that the group format was a bit more applicable for me, and I enjoyed it a lot more.
There's a lot more support, I guess, when there's multiple moderators or it is moderators inside the group, because it's not all reliant on you answering questions, and you've
exactly
obviously got a young family, and
and you're at work, and someone wants to know a question or know an answer straight away, and you don't always have the time to be able to invest in that particular query or question. So I just found that the group setting was a lot more fun to do, and then I sort of from there did a bit more work with Lenny and with Rusty up in Queensland. And they sort of put me on as a moderator.
Yep.
And
so they started the group?
Started the group. I think they started it back in around about 2016.
Yep. And because there was Queensland Lawn Fanatics.
Well, it actually started out of southeast Queensland.
So it was really pointed.
And I think for about 6 months, they had about 50 members.
Yep.
And it was a close-knit,
just a bunch
real
of people
fanatics.
that were sharing tips and fertilizer usage and the stuff that we'll talk about further in.
And then it sort of branched out into
Queensland.
The name?
Yep. Oh, they changed it to Queensland?
Yep.
And then went
Queensland
to Australia.
Lawn Fanatics, and then Australian Lawn Fanatics. About a year ago.
Yep.
We made the switch.
And when did it pop? Do you have memories of the membership just going crazy? Was it in the last 12 months or 18 months?
We probably had about 3,000 members around about this time last year.
Wow, so it's really popular.
Yeah, it has. We did a bit of work with some other groups trying to sort of draw in some more members.
Yep. Yeah, so collaborations basically.
Exactly right.
Which is effectively this, a great opportunity to put two audiences in front of two different people and go, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And I think I posted in one particular group one night, and we got like 1,000 members in one night.
Wow. That's like that kind of virality, and it's not like global virality, but for localized lawn group virality.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of numbers you
and it was the demographic that we spoke about.
That's
before.
right. It's pointed. It's not just.
It was the blokes.
Yeah.
25
who
to 45.
are actually engaged and interested. Yeah. And active.
And they joined the page. We did have a few problems from that though, with regard to some language issues that were sort of creeping in.
So that's probably something. So the page is the Australian Lawn Fanatics.
Yep.
The hashtag AUSLF is used a lot.
It is. Yep.
And we'll put all the information regarding the group in our. I guess, what do you call that? The base of the podcast? The description? Sorry. So we'll put all the information in the description. But I guess they're pretty strict around... Will you talk about the rules? So the language needs to be family-friendly?
It's a family-friendly page. We don't want to have people that feel uncomfortable on the page because of language that perhaps is a little bit...
street.
Exactly.
So language I'm more than happily... comfortable with, and you can swear
I
on
swear
my page all the time, but
all the time at home,
Yeah.
I just think if you can't express yourself without swearing on a page, you're not really part of the.
And then there's also I've seen a lot around using products off label being something that is not advocated, and definitely I guess almost they're against that.
Correct. I mean, we try and take a stance that whilst we're a group and we're a group of amateurs, we're a group of backyarders, we don't want to be associated with doing the wrong thing in the turf industry. So if we're going and have particular members recommending stuff off label, so it's not registered for turf use, the comment will be deleted, and more often than not, that particular person will get a message saying,
and if they're repeatedly doing that, then they're
exactly
not really part of the group. Because the reason there is a moderator is to keep the cleanliness of the group to a maximum. And then the other one I've seen is there is no stupid questions. So the purpose of the group is for information sharing around a common interest.
Yep.
So if you want to know a question, you throw a question up in the group, and then there's a group of people that can then help you with the answer.
Well, everyone can help you with the answer. That's the benefit.
People,
that's the benefit of the group.
Okay.
And everyone who wants to come on the group and see what questions have been raised for that day, they're all there.
Yeah. Yep. So what we've done. The reason I wanted to sit down with Simon was because there is a massive amount of I guess, interest in lawn currently. Simon has an unbelievable lawn at home, which is at a rental property.
No, it's my own.
It's your own property.
Yep.
Who was looking after a rental? Was it one of the other guys I was speaking to? I'm like, what? It was crazy. Like, it must have been one of the comments in the section. I just remember someone saying it, that they were like renting and their lawn was that good. And that's why there was no irrigation system in, because it was...
Oh, yeah, I think I know the lawn now. Yeah, I think it was Dave's lawn.
So that lawn's getting ripped out as well.
the house has been knocked
The house
down.
is getting knocked down. So that lawn, is that lawn getting a new home? Has someone put their hand up for it?
It's actually D-Day tomorrow for the back lawn.
Yeah. Is it someone taking the lawn?
Someone's coming in tomorrow to take it out.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's funny because then you can go visit your lawn. No? It's a bit awkward.
It's not...
You're not that tight
It's
with it?
weird because the front lawn's already been cut out.
Yeah.
I thought I'd be more emotional about the actual lawn going, but it's not the lawn.
It's the process of getting the lawn.
It is. It's the fact of being out there.
It's just like business.
Yeah.
It's not about the money or it's the process that you take to get there.
Yeah.
It's that enjoyment and that relaxation and the...
Yeah, it's the process more so than... And don't get me wrong, it's the result at the end of it all as well, but I think just being out there, it's my time just to be on my own.
And it's yours. No one else is telling you what to do.
Exactly right.
So you mentioned before in the group that you're a bunch of amateurs, so you don't have a turf background at all, other than what you've learned.
Correct.
In saying that, you would probably have more knowledge than the average turf home owner because of the research that you've done. I mean, is that... You see, like, obviously the preparation for this podcast, I saw the detail of your personality.
Yeah.
I'm assuming if you don't know about a product, you'll read the whole thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So the advice that you're giving is based on your research.
Yeah. Well, if either the question comes up and I'm 95% sure I know the answer, I'll just double check.
And then message the contact that you've got, or obviously there's a lot of people in the group that are, I guess, agronomists or scientists.
Yeah, so that's the good thing about the group is we do have several agronomists within the group.
Yep.
We've got a pathologist in there as well that helps us out with some disease identification. It's actually pretty cool when you look at it from a whole holistic standpoint that we've got. Whilst it is aimed at home domestic lawns, there's a lot of professionals in there as well.
And I just wanted to cover that off because, there's going to be, I guess, people sitting at home going, well, the questions that we're about to ask, why are we asking Simon those questions? What gives him the right to answer those questions? And I think it's really just important to highlight that because I guess we've put together a large group of questions that are the most commonly asked questions, and we've crowdsourced them from the group with the hope that you could watch this podcast and kind of have enough information to have a really nice lawn.
Yeah, it's not hard. We'll go through a couple of things in a minute.
Yep.
And if you can just get 4 basic things right with your lawn, it's not that hard to go from a 4 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10 pretty easily.
Yep.
Yeah.
So those 4 things you've touched on them. Let's talk about it. So what are the 4 things that you're referring to?
All right. So these are what I call like the cultural practices, and this is for a decent lawn that's got decent coverage and has good light, and you're prepared to put some effort and time into it.
And that's money as well.
A little bit, of course. Like that's with anything.
Yep. So there's 4 points.
Mowing.
Yep.
Number 1. It's the number 1 thing. We'll touch on it again in a minute if you like.
Yep.
Looking after your soil.
So soil quality.
Yeah.
As well as prep, I guess.
Make a commitment that you're going to try and improve your soil whenever you can.
Yep.
Obviously, irrigation or watering the lawn.
Yep, and that doesn't have to be an automatic irrigation system, but obviously it's going to help with efficiency and water saving and
correct
and application and all that.
And nutrients, so putting some nutrients into the soil, and that doesn't mean just hitting it with massive amounts of nitrogen, because that's what people look at and they look, that's
because it's green.
Yeah.
Yep. But then what?
It gives leafy growth and that looks lush and looks green, but like that needs to be looked at from a holistic point of view again.
Yep.
So like. Once you start understanding those 4 principles, you can kind of see how they all just mold into one.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can really look at fine-tuning those things as you move forward.
Well, it's a living thing.
Yep.
So it's the same with, I guess, humans. If you talk about nutrition, hydration, sunlight, diet, exercise, you can...
Yeah, you could almost look at that.
Yeah.
And that now is like your...
Nutrients is food. Water is water. Soil quality is... Exercise,
your vitamins or your vegetables or whatever else,
and then
your mowing is your exercise.
So mowing, obviously, one of the questions that we've got here is how do you get the lines or the patterns inside of a turf? So I guess talk to me about mowing, and then I guess include in that how and why and the different styles of mowing.
Yeah, I'll touch on the stripes in a minute. That's a secondary thing. It's not that important.
Yep, that's just
an aesthetic thing. There's one rule that you need to adhere to 95% of the time. This is almost the number 1 rule in your lawn care. do not remove more than 1/3 of the leaf height
Yep.
in any one mowing.
Okay.
That is king.
I get that because I reckon I've had properties before. I'm not good at looking after anything, and so I've had kikuyu that's kind of gone out to that, and then I've gone and chopped off 90%.
Yep.
And it just looks shit.
Yep.
And it's you take it back to like like areas that never had sunlight, so there's no green in it, and it's
Looks crap.
So that reason for that is so that you don't hurt the plant, or
Yeah.
that you're not cutting away the good growth.
Correct.
Yep.
So the plant's not having to put energy into growing new leaves.
Yep.
It can put its energy into root system, into stem development.
Yep.
Rather than having to grow all new leaves again.
Yep. It's just the same leaf growing a little bit, and you're just chopping it off.
So you're just trimming the top.
Yep. Like a haircut.
Exactly. Well, kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and you look at a golf course, like how much time and effort they put into mowing.
Yep.
They're mowing the
every day.
greens
Yeah.
every day.
Yep.
They're mowing the fairways 2 or 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
They're mowing with $30,000-$40,000 machines.
Yep. And blades that are being sharpened regularly,
Yep.
heights that are being checked regularly. Everything's to the millimeter, not just to the centimeter.
Correct. So just on that 1/3 rule. So let's say, for example, you want to maintain your lawn at 20 millimeters,
Yep.
so 2 centimeters. You need to cut that when it gets to 30 mil.
Yep.
Okay.
And no more. Otherwise, then you start getting thatch, or you're going to damage the plant.
You got to expose that area of the grass underneath the canopy
Yep.
where it's all brown and crappy.
So how often would that be? Like, like your lawn at home? How long would it take to grow 10 mil? Like 3 days, 2 days?
In summertime?
Yeah. Like peak summer, 35 nutrient to the end of the world watering. Like, well, how often do you mow? Do you mow more regularly than you need to?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you
yeah.
want it. Like a golf course green.
Pretty much.
So
how long will it take? It's
once a week.
To say.
So yeah, so it's
All right,
site specific.
20 mil is pretty short.
Yeah.
It's only
3/4
of an inch.
Yeah.
In summertime, with a couch lawn or a kikuyu lawn, well irrigated, that could be every 3 days.
Yeah, cool. So if you're, so it's all you could probably graph it. So the more you water it, the more sunlight it gets, the more nutrients it gets, the better it's going to grow, the faster it's going to grow. So it could be between 3 and 7 days. Yeah.
Depending on the weather, soil temperature, all those things, how much.
And it's like anything.
Getting.
Even with irrigation, people always ask, how much water do I put out? And the answer is it depends on the situation. So if it's a winter day, then you don't need to water as much, and you might still need to water, but not as much as you would in the peak of summer. So mowing's going to be the same. You need to just trial and error, start to learn your heights, get better at it. Yeah.
So if you stick to that 1/3 rule,
it could be twice a week.
You don't need to use a catcher.
Okay, that's interesting because that was one of the questions.
Yep.
Because
you never see me use a catcher on my lawn.
Wow. So the cut that you cut off just goes back into the ground. Is that a concern
it's like
from
dust?
Yeah.
If you're just cutting off the leaf, if you put that on the
so if it
concrete,
wasn't a catcher, it would fit in your cup for your lawn. There's nothing. Or is it just the
It's like it's literally if
like
you put it out on the it's like powder.
Yeah.
It turns to dust.
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's mostly water.
Because I was told once before that if you put lawnmower clippings around a tree, like as mulch, and I'm talking a lot, that it takes nutrient out of the soil when it breaks down because it pulls nitrogen for it to biodegrade. Obviously, we're not concerned about that because of obviously the amount of nitrogen we're adding to the lawn a lot of the time.
And it's such a small amount.
Yeah.
Now, if, for example, you go away for 2 weeks over summertime, and you come back and it's a bit of a jungle,
catcher.
I appreciate that you're going to use a catcher in that situation because it's going to look messy
Yep.
and you are going to be taking off more than 1/3. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, you have to. Otherwise, you're going to be...
Lawn should be part of your life. It shouldn't rule your life.
Yep.
So if you need to go away or if you have been away on holidays, you got to come back. Just use your catcher, bring it down slowly, and then go back to your 1/3.
So you could mow it 2 or 3 times to get it
progressively
back down to its
lower.
original height. All right, cool. So soil quality, obviously, that's ongoing and at the start.
Absolutely, yeah.
So soil prep, you want to like. This is something that we like. I guess the majority of lawns that we see installed, like as just part of a landscape, so not for a fanatic, but just part of the landscape, they might cut out 100 mil if they're lucky and bring in 100 mil of loam. There's no rotary hoe. It's not 200 or 300. We spoke to Nathan Bennett about the soil prep for a green
and 300 over
on
pea
top of
gravel
whatever
base,
else.
Yeah.
It's just not realistic that that's going to happen residentially for the average person.
Yep.
So then, obviously, the soil quality you're referring more to the aeration or the coring.
If you're putting a new lawn in, look at it from the sense of the grass portion of it. That's actually cheap. That's the cheap.
That's true.
part.
Yeah, even though it might be $10 a square meter now for buffalo, compared to
think about how much if you have a poor preparation,
Yep.
how much water,
Yep.
how much additional fertilizer,
It's
how
just
much
like a
additional
bad
work you've got to
foundation.
put on there. You can buy the best paint in the world,
Yeah.
but if your prep's rubbish,
Yeah.
guess what?
It's going to keep going.
Your end result's rubbish, and
Yeah.
you're going to do it all again,
Yeah.
or you're constantly having to make adjustments to get over that particular fact that you didn't put the prep in there to begin with.
Yep.
Now, 300 mil of, sandy
Or
loam
lime.
or sand,
It's probably not so much the cost of the loam coming in, it's probably the cost of the excavation and the
Yeah.
dumping of the dirt going out that probably throws people.
And look, you can't always be in a situation where you can, dig down
Yeah,
that low.
but you do the best you can.
Exactly right.
And you get the result that you earn. Like, you get what you kind of, like, you know what I mean? Like, the better you prepare it, the better you're going to get.
Correct.
Yep.
I mean, we had a post on the page last night, transformations, and I put out a photo from when I first laid my front lawn,
Yep.
and the prep was rubbish,
Yep.
terrible.
And that's all you knew at the time.
Yeah, and
Yep.
it's been a constant battle.
Did you think
ever
it was
since.
Did you think you'd done a good prep as well?
No.
Like, so you knew it was just, oh, whatever, we'll get the lawn down.
I had no idea what I was doing. It was on a whim. It was a Tuesday afternoon coming home, and I thought, you know what?
I'm
This
gonna lay
looks
some lawn.
crap. I'm
Yep.
gonna,
Yep.
rip out this and do that.
And what did you put down, Santarana?
Yep.
Yep. Did you buy it off the roll?
Yep.
Yep. From just a local turf company?
I think I got
Yep.
it from Muns down at
Yep.
Brighton. Yeah. But I guess my point is that it's always been a battle
Yep.
to try and bring that back with aeration, with constantly trying to improve the soil microbiology, with
Yep.
organic matter, and with sea salt and all
So
those
you've
things.
got an opportunity to do this right. You're going to build a house.
Oh yeah, it's going to
Yep.
be.
Yep.
It's going to be.
Like, you'll have a room underneath so you can look up to your lawn, to the root zone and stuff, clear floor and stuff.
Like a bit of perspex along the side.
Yeah.
Nice.
Have a dungeon or a den. A dungeon sounds really bad.
Doesn't it?
That's where DK hangs out. So water, obviously, this is something that really surprised me as being part of the community now, seeing that the majority of the lawn fanatics don't actually have irrigation systems. A lot of them are watering using either hand watering.
Yeah, well, you look at Rusty's lawn.
They
You
love
know,
it.
like
I was blown away. They're watering it with a string of sprinklers connected together and dragged around, or a hose and a beer.
yeah,
So, and that's a term. Sky beers.
Sky Beer. Yeah,
That's yep. Is there hose beer?
I guess so.
Okay, cool. That's there
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Well, whatever. As long
Yeah.
as there's beer involved, I don't think it matters.
So the water, and thanks for bringing. I got some new stubby holders now, which kind of will help me justify having a beer after work.
An excuse to have a beer.
An
man.
excuse, like I need one. Hey, so the water, as long as we're getting the right amount of water onto the lawn,
Yep.
that's all that matters. Obviously, it's important to have an irrigation system if you want efficiency or consistency. So obviously, hand watering, you need to be there. You mentioned before going away for 2 weeks. You
Yep.
can't hand water while you're away. Irrigation's probably come down in price a lot for what you can get if you had a tap timer system. Like, you can go quite raw if you need to.
And I think I think you're right. The stigma of an irrigation system is, it's so expensive. I'll go to Bunnings and I'll get the 2-inch
and that's like
pop-ups.
bad soil prep. You've gone and spent money, but you should have spent it's not even much more, actually.
It's not.
We compare our prices to Bunnings. We're competitive with Bunnings, and when I say we, I'm talking about irrigation stores in general. I mean, this is Waterpro's podcast, but obviously there's audiences all around Australia. I've always encouraged, and I've mentioned it on the page before, just even if you're not buying it from me, go to a professional irrigation shop. Don't go to a hardware shop.
Yep.
And then those guys have the data that the sprinklers operate to. You can get a system designed so that if you want 10 or 11 or 12 mil delivered in a cycle, you can do that.
Yep.
You can't do that with a hose.
No, you can't.
No one knows what they're putting out.
Yep.
So, okay. And nutrients?
Just back on the water.
Water? Back to water?
Sorry. Deep and infrequent.
Yeah, okay. To encourage deep roots.
Correct.
Yeah. It's actually a question. I spoke to the guys in the building, and I said to them, do you have any questions? Because obviously they're in our demographic, like
Talking
dads, turf,
Yep.
and he asked about the different, do you have different watering requirements for a buffalo to say a cooch? And I'm like, no, it's still the same. It's still infrequent and deep, but I'll cover it in the podcast, which you've already done.
Yeah.
Because he thought that let's say a cooch was a shallow looking, like a low cut compared to a buffalo being a bit more chunky, that their roots would look the same.
Yep.
But if you look at, you would have seen cutouts from greens from golf courses. The root zones are, that to that, or 150 to 200 mil
Yep.
deep, and there's only 20 or 16 mil
of actual canopy on top, yeah.
Yeah. So, So the reason you say that is to encourage the roots to go looking for water,
Yep.
and so that you've got a genuinely healthy turf, so it's
Correct.
not as impacted during drought conditions.
Yeah, and obviously heat as well. Like if you look at 40-degree day, the canopy is going to be really, really hot. But like a dog digs a hole when it's hot, it's
it gets in the cooler.
100 and 200 mil down. It's obviously going to be a lot cooler down there. So, and how often you irrigate is probably a bit more dependent on the soil type. So if you've got a heavier soil that retains moisture and has a bit more organic matter in there, it can obviously hold more water.
Yep.
As opposed to a sand, which obviously infiltrates very
That's
quickly.
Right.
So a sand base, you might be watering twice a week with,
say 10 or 12 mil or whatever
correct,
it might be.
yeah.
Rather
Whereas
than
a heavier soil, you might be able to
mil.
get 5 or 6 days out of your irrigation cycle before you got to go again. So 25
per week.
millimeters
Mil of water.
of irrigation per week in summertime.
And obviously adjust that to your conditions.
Yep.
So if it rains, you can take that down by the 6 or 8 mil that you've got, and if it's really hot, then you can increase it by what you worked out the evaporation may have been. And it's exactly the same as what you talked about with mowing. You need to start adjusting your watering and go maybe stick your hand in the ground or spade a bit and just kind of work.
Even
out
a screwdriver.
A
good 6-inch screwdriver. You push that in. If you can't get that in down at the hill, it's time to water, basically.
Yeah, there you go. There's a good tip.
Yep.
And then, so nutrients, you're referring to fertilizer with chemicals and nutrients? So you mentioned microbes before.
So this is more so, your NPK, your nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. So what we don't want to do, and we don't really advocate on the page, is just dumping massive amounts of soluble nitrogen on your lawn.
Yeah, so just spraying iron and nitrogen every month just because it keeps it green.
That's not a bad way to go about it, though.
Yep.
Because iron helps with chlorophyll.
So you're talking just pure like urea. Don't just put urea out. Yep.
I'm talking soluble nitrogen where you can put that in a sprayer and actually dissolve it and spray it out.
Yep.
That's what soluble in a way kind of means. So. Urea, for example, is not the best when it comes to providing the plant with nutrients it needs. It needs phosphorus. It needs potassium.
It's just like it's calcium. It's like a drug or a steroid.
It needs other things. I look at nitrogen as your sugar.
Yep.
You can have
you get a high.
Carb. You can have good sugar or you can have bad sugar.
Yep.
Well, no sugar. Good carb, bad carb.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So you can have something that's slowly available over a number of weeks or months, or you can hit it all up at once and get a big response, big growth surge, and then it washes away below the soil profile.
Which has its place.
Absolutely.
If you need to prepare for an event, or like golf courses might do it for a tournament, or a wedding venue might put it out for the day of the wedding.
Week before.
But for a homeowner, or a builder might put it down for a show home. Like it's got its place.
It does, but for long-term health,
you got to remember, you got to pay for it later. You're borrowing. It's the same as eating sugar. Like you need to pay for that later. That's yours now, and I'm not a good example of this because I haven't paid for it later. But if you're going to eat it now, you're going to do with it later. So what if you've done that? What's then the responsibility of the owner if they want to look after their lawn to add to the turf? All those other things.
So you're looking at a fertilizer that is really designed for turf.
Yep.
So it has the ratio that's correct for that. So the NPK.
Yep.
And then obviously having your trace elements as well. Like it's so forgotten about, but it's so important with the overall aesthetics and health of the lawn. So your calcium.
Yep.
Magnesium, manganese, iron, obviously all those things help to retain the colour.
Well, the soil traditionally, I'm listening to an audiobook now that it talks about all of those micronutrients for our benefits, and the fact that we used to walk around with no shoes on and we'd be absorbing, and we'd have dirt on our hands from, I guess, foraging, and we wouldn't wash our hands, we'd just go to sleep. This is 10,000 years ago. And our soils have been so damaged from over farming, and we don't think about it. So what you're talking about, people might go, well, shouldn't the soil have that anyway? Yeah, it might have, but no one was ever, everyone's been planting and watering and mowing and planting and watering and mowing, and who knows what was built on your site before you were there. And
where that soil came from, what the pH is.
Yep.
So if your pH is not in a certain zone,
a
lot of those trace elements get locked up and they can't be used.
Same as humans.
Yeah.
So okay, cool. So that's nutrients.
So they're your four, like your cornerstones,
the
or
four
your
pillars,
cultural practices,
pillars of the community.
That if you can get them spot on, and you make a commitment that, hey, okay, I'm going to mow my lawn once a week.
Yep.
I'm going to water my lawn at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, depending on temperature. I'm going to try and improve the soil, be it through core aeration, getting the air down into the roots.
Yep.
And then I'm going to provide some good quality nutrients in there. You can take a 4 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10 in one season, no trouble.
So if you had to, in a minute or less, describe all of these 4 with numbers, could you do that? So like mow every week, water 25 mil a week, apply nutrients once a month, and ensure that it requires aeration when required. Is that it?
Pretty much. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
When it comes to nutrients, I've always done small amounts regularly.
Yep.
So small little meals, rather than a big dose.
It can't take it, can it? Because it's all. I mean, it can only take what it can take.
It can, but
and it can be slow release still.
It can be slow release still. I just prefer that model. But whatever.
So what you might half strength or quarter strength.
Correct.
A standard application and do it 4 times. Yep. Okay. Cool.
But like whatever works for you.
Yep. I think that's the key thing. There's like it's lawn and it's your lawn, so you're allowed to do what you want.
Yep.
Obviously, you want to try and stick within the practices that are known as working by the 200 years of turf before you in the country, and obviously further in the world. But don't feel like you're obliged to just do what everyone else is doing. And I think that's probably part of the fun for some of the guys is test some stuff and report your findings back onto the page and say, I tried that and it didn't work, but I'm glad I tried it because I learnt this.
At the end of the day, unless you're really, 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 really mean to it, it'll always come back.
Like, spraying off-label.
Yeah, or just constantly breaking that 1/3 rule.
Yeah.
And
I never knew that, and I'm around turf a lot. So.
And you open up, you take off the canopy, you open it up, all of a sudden you can see the soil, weeds start to germinate because they get light down there now. So, a dense, healthy lawn obviously helps to prevent weed seeds from germinating.
Perfect.
It all kind of like, once you start understanding those things, then you find that most of the questions will pull off those 4 cornerstones again.
Because it's like, it's almost... I use this analogy a lot. When you used to play computer games and you'd have like acceleration, cornering, braking, all of those like move in and out depending on what you're doing. So you'll be like, well, you could start there and have like your bars of neutrality. Some lawns might need a little bit more water, less mowing, more fertilizer, less aeration, but that's for you to then work out.
You need to fine tune that.
Yeah.
But you need to understand that those four
they're
things,
the minimum. You have to have them.
Every single person that's got a good lawn does those things. I can guarantee you.
Yep. We had crowdsourced some questions, and one of the questions asked when you were going back to playing turf cricket. Now, I'm assuming that's where you fell in love with grass. Is that playing turf cricket, or?
I must say, whenever, even as a 5-6-year-old, I used to love cricket growing up, and I always used to say to Dad, "Can we go down the turf nets?"
Yep.
I want to train on the turf nets
rather than a concrete pad.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think I just fell in love with the shortcut turf from there.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
So are you going back to play, or are these your mates that are asking these questions?
Yeah. I think they're missing me, to be honest.
Are they losing?
I think the performances could be stronger, yeah.
Did you dominate?
No. I think I was just a, good bloke on the team.
You don't have to answer that.
When am I going back to playing turf cricket? Probably when my son is able to take care of himself.
Yep.
He's currently 3.
Is he your youngest?
2038, probably.
Yep. Cool.
So 18 years, he'll be ready to go off into the world. No.
There you go.
Ideally,
we'll send that.
I'd like to play again, but
we'll cut that snippet out. What are you, a batsman or a bowler?
Yeah,
Batsman. Did you open?
I did. Yeah.
There you go. Who'd you play for?
Brighton.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Beautiful part of the world.
It is. Good deck down there too. Nice.
Obviously,
flat,
you mentioned your children, so I'll ask the next question. We had someone ask if you were single. So obviously happily married, I'm guessing.
Married with 4 kids.
I was told you had 15 kids. I asked some questions, and one of the questions was, how do you keep your lawn looking so good with 15 kids? So those questions came from people you know well.
Yeah, apparently.
So
no, I do get a bit of shit about the number of kids I've got, but
yeah.
I grew up with a fairly large family, so I think it's good for kids to play with other kids.
And you don't have them off the lawn, like the lawn's there for them to use.
Yeah,
that's why you have the lawn for your kids.
I mean, if you get to the point where you can no longer enjoy your lawn,
you've killed it. Yeah,
you shouldn't be doing it. Go get some fake lawn if that's the case.
Yep.
Because your kids should be out there enjoing it and riding their bikes on it. And don't get me wrong, there are times when
if they drop a bike and a pedal goes into it, and
can we not, can we not do that? But
they're your kids. Do you have a dog?
I do.
Do you have control issues? Obviously, one of the questions that comes up a lot is how do we stop the dog's urine from killing our turf?
Yep.
There's no major. There's no solution, is there? Really?
It doesn't really kill it. It just
knocks it around.
Yeah, it just burns the leaf really.
Yeah.
It's just the salt in the urea. That's what it is. That's what they're pissing out. They're pissing out.
So you can follow them around and dilute it if you're really paranoid about it.
I think a couple of guys, run their irrigation once a day for a couple of minutes just to sort of try and dilute that.
Yep.
But they're big dogs and generally females that like to urinate all in one particular spot.
Yeah, the boys are
the
like
blokes
walking
tend
and
to just,
pissing,
spread it around the place wherever they can find an upright piece of...
anything.
Yeah, exactly. So my dog, fortunately...
So the dog rocks don't work?
I never tried them. I never had a problem with my dog.
I've seen them. I've seen so many comments saying they don't work. I've never tried them. I've never had a lawn that's mattered to me enough that I've worried about my dogs going on it. I've always had Kikuyu lawns because they've been easy for me to maintain, and a lot of times they've been existing. The yogurt in the food, no testing on that. You haven't done any trials. Female dogs you believe are more direct than male dogs, but that's just an opinion.
Well, I just think that female dogs tend
to stop and wee
and urinate, completely empty the bladder, and then, whereas my dog in particular, you piss a bit here, piss a bit there.
Yeah. I had 2 boy dogs, and I get that. So,
but what?
There's no real solution. I mean, you can train your dog to go to the toilet off your lawn. Yeah, if you're that good.
Yep.
But
and I've got a little bit of crap lawn that I try and encourage my dog to shit on.
But again, you love your dog, and if your dog can't go to the toilet where it's traditionally meant to go, then you've lost the whole thing, haven't you?
It's annoying, don't get me wrong, and if I had a decent solution, I'd definitely mention it. But personally, if I'm not testing it myself, I don't really know.
No, that's cool. I thought I'd ask the question, and I think that's probably really important. You don't know the answer, so you don't answer it.
And I think when there's 4 or 5 things that work, chances are none of them work.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. There's no magic bullet there.
Yeah.
If you were a turf variety, what would you be?
Oh, it's a tough question. If you asked me this 3 months ago, I'd be Cooch every day of the week.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure anymore.
You want to be Simon Rice?
Well, I coined the phrase myself, Rye C.
Yeah. Have you seen that?
Rice. You get it?
It's a ryegrass. Explain to people listening why.
So I overseeded
why
my warm season Cooch with a cool season ryegrass.
Yep.
It's unbelievably soft.
Yep.
It's unbelievably fun to maintain.
Yep.
Because it's got a very shiny leaf, you can stripe it up.
Yep.
No problems with whatever pattern you want.
Yep.
It's good fun. It's soft. It's a bit of a challenge, something new.
Yeah. I guess once you've established your lawn, it's just about keeping your lawn where it is, isn't it? Like, I imagine you're looking forward to your next install because you've got this process that you get to go through. But once it's down, it's down. I think I spoke to a golf super about rye, and it's not for everyone because it's just something else. I guess it'll die off. It may die off
because it's a cool season turf.
Oh, I know it needs a lot more water
for 3 months of the year.
Yep.
It's going to be a real challenge to keep it alive.
Yeah, but you can just reseed it.
You can just reseed it. But that's not... I mean, that's summertime when you want to be using your lawn and all of a sudden you've got to baby it through summertime. Yeah. You get 3 or 4 40-degree days in a row and you're worrying about your lawn. Yeah. Like...
That's if you that's if you just had rye.
Yeah. I'll probably give it a go.
Yeah.
But if you look at Adelaide's climate for the other 9 months of the year, man, it's perfect for ryegrass. So it's kind of a catch-22.
Yep.
There's no one turf variety that's going to perform at its best all year round, unless you're living in the tropics or far northern Australia.
I'm rye because
you're right.
Well, I don't perform 3 months of the year.
Okay. Is that in summertime?
It's in wintertime. I hate winter, so I'm not.
You're Cooch then, man.
Yeah, I'm Cooch.
You're Cooch
Straight
because
up Cooch. There you go.
Like Cooch this time of year.
Yeah. I'll just go dormant. I hate it. This year's been my best year leading into winter, but I've had serious I don't want to be here. I like to go to warmer.
You're the owner,
climates.
man. You need to be here.
No, the opposite. I'm the owner. I don't need to be here.
Okay.
I've got it all set up now that I've got an unbelievable team. There were years when that was the case. Like early days, I couldn't go on my honeymoon for longer than 5 business days because I just had to be back.
Yep.
Now it's a different situation. I'm going away next week and then 2 weeks from then. But the winter's always bothered me because I get that lack of vitamin D, and obviously traditionally our business starts to quieten off. So I'm like, oh, this is shit.
Yeah.
So I should be here, but I don't want to be. So anyway,
maybe diversify up into like Darwin or something like that.
Well, look, we're planning to expand the number of shops we have. We're going to look at having more shops in South Australia first, and then into Victoria because of the geographical convenience.
Yep.
Darwin's definitely on the cards. And,
I was there this week. It's amazing.
And a friend of mine, former employee, actually works for a fertilizer manufacturer now, and Darwin's part of his territory.
Yep.
And I always see photos of him. He does it on purpose. He'll send me a Snapchat of him in the pool having some beers at 31 degrees in June. I'm like, oh my god,
perfect.
So I actually suggested to Celeste we go to Darwin for our family holiday, because we're looking to go away in July or August. But I don't know how much. She's like, but there's crocodiles there. I'm like, yeah, that's why we're going there, to look at crocodiles. But I don't think she wants to go.
But they don't just come out of off the street and eat you.
No. But they can come out of the ocean and eat you. Well, in Cairns they can. I don't know if that's the case in
you
Darwin.
can't swim in the ocean there. Yeah.
So,
right.
but I don't really want to swim in the ocean. I just like to drink on the ocean. So
priorities, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm on holiday. So I've got...
So what else we got, mate?
I've got a bunch of questions that we've crowdsourced that I'm keen to throw at you. And we'll kind of just roll with there. So
and I'll try and refer back to that, the cornerstones.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Through.
Yeah.
Yep.
So obviously, when are you coming back to play turf cricket? Adam Smith, that's been answered.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to play again. It's just a matter of, getting the...
Well, maybe Adam
family.
can look after some of the stuff that you have to.
You know what?
He can look after your kids. And
I'll get
cricket.
Becky to look after. That's his wife.
Yeah.
I'll get Becky to look after the kids.
Yeah, and then sweet. Adam, if you can take care of that, that'd be good.
Done.
So what setting do I use my Hortex sprayer on to put out sea salt? Now, I saw there was some banter underneath the Hortex thing. Is there what's the go?
So the Hortex sprayer, you can get them from Bunnings.
Yep.
They're a clip-on sprayer that puts
and you
out.
get what you pay for.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Yep.
They're okay if you're putting out soil wetter or sea salt, for example. But when it comes to putting out precise amounts of product like fertilizer or insecticide, they're not that good.
Yep.
They're
because
a convenient
they're not meant to be.
thing. Yeah.
That's right.
So we have a bit of a running joke going with the mods
Yep.
about the Hortex sprayer.
Yep.
So
because it gets asked about so
Yeah,
much,
it does.
and it's in a price bracket that's reachable for everyone.
Yep. Look, 3 or 4.
Yep.
That's the answer.
Okay.
But you need to sort of collaborate though. You can't
And
just...
same deal. It's like trial and error. Don't be afraid to try it, especially if you're delivering sea salt or a wetter. You're not going to damage anything.
No. For that particular regard, it's fine.
So you would not be putting out an iron or nitrogen
Nope.
or
Nope.
Any chemicals. Nope. Yep, cool. I've heard that you should always mow with your catcher on. Is this true or a lawn myth? We've talked about that.
I don't use a catcher.
Yep.
My cylinder mower, my scope on it, doesn't even have a catcher.
You don't know. You never bought it. You lost it.
It was ruined when I got it.
Yep.
So
it's gone to
it's gone to another place.
So
to answer the question,
Okay,
it is
so-
a bit of a lawn myth. People say, don't mow without a catcher, you get your thatch build up. You don't. It's just, if you've got a lot of thatch build up already,
Yep.
it can add to it because you're not getting that down to the soil
Yep.
where your microbes and whatnot
Yep.
can obviously break it down.
Obviously, this is, I guess, determined by you mowing regularly as well.
Yeah.
Like,
The 1/3 rule.
yeah. You like the 1/3 rule. You should
Mate,
get a t-shirt.
we should do t-shirts, 1/3 rule.
Or
Just
you can do something really funny like
33% less.
never
or something
take more than 33. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll do a whiteboard session afterwards. DK can
should.
film it. How much is too much watering? This is from Scott. Sorry, that last question was from Melissa. This is from Scott. How much is too much watering? How can I cut my watering back?
Okay.
So, do you want to try and answer that one?
I guess it's climate and weather dependent.
Yep.
For example, Scott's in Brisbane,
Yep.
coming into the dry season in a way.
Yep.
So whilst it's winter time, they obviously have less rain than they do in summertime. So you still need to be putting some sort of water on your lawn in that particular situation. If you're getting a lot of dry wind as well, that can obviously dry out the soil. So how much is too much watering? In the heat, on the height of summer, 25 millimetres of water.
So that's what I was going to go down to.
Yeah.
If you don't know how your water's being delivered in millimetres, you can't measure how much is too much. So if you're hand watering, too much watering could be an extra 15 minutes on top of the hour that you've delivered the 25 million, and you won't know because you've just got a hose on.
Yep.
So I think to answer that, the only way you can really know how much is too much is when you know how much is the right amount, and then when it's over that.
Yeah, good.
So,
I like that.
Yeah,
Write
thanks,
that down.
man. That's a good one. Write that down, DK. What strength should I mix sea salt?
So your sea salt, obviously, once again, we're looking at improving your soil.
And this doesn't just have to be sea salt. There's a lot of products.
Yeah, so with
fish emulsion, kelp based.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, if you Google, like I said, kelp based fertilizer, soil improvers, it's been massive in all types of agriculture and industry. So once again, we're looking at improving our soil here. So 250 mil per 100 square meters, thereabouts.
Per 100 square meters.
Yep.
And then that dilute that however you need to deliver it comfortably.
And you can use your Hortex spray for that, or you can put it out through your
watering can.
Watering can, if you want, or a high pressure.
You'll love this
knapsack.
I used to water. We don't have a lawn at my current house because we're still landscaping. But at my old house, I used to water in iron with a watering can.
Okay. Look,
I got pretty good at it towards the end.
That's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
But it needs to sit on the leaf and be absorbed through the cuticle of the leaf.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it goes into the soil.
Yep.
And unless your soil pH is between sort of 6 and 6.5, it's not going to do anything.
So I did that because I was buying the product pretty cheap, and I was taking just 5 litres home, and I'd use a 5 litre over like my lawn in a day.
Yep.
It's a lot. So but it wasn't an issue for me because I had it here, and I've learned so much in the last. Well, I've been out of there for 2 or 3 years, and so I guess I've been around turf more, even in the golf market. I'm spending more time doing golf tours and then talking to guys like you and being in the group, and it's more. I'm learning a lot more as well, which is funny because I thought I had a lot of knowledge already.
Hey, don't worry. When I first started, I told you about the soil prep. It was crap.
Yeah.
And then I was using urea.
Yeah.
And wondering why I was mowing my lawn every day and breaking the 1/3 rule.
Yeah.
Because I was watering too much, putting too much soluble nitrogen on there.
Yeah.
And it was
yeah
counterproductive.
Yep. I've heard. So this is from Shane. I've heard if my reel mower is blunt, my lawn could be susceptible to diseases. Is this true, and why?
Yeah. So obviously, when we cut the lawn, we're cutting off part of the leaf.
Yep.
So if that is on a clean cut, and it's open, it can be more susceptible to disease.
If it's a clean cut.
Yeah. So your mower blades need to be sharp.
Yeah.
So if it's a reel mower, with there's obviously the cylinder that cuts across a bed bar with the rollers on there, that needs to be adjusted correctly and ground and sharpened to a precise amount, and then obviously that will cut the grass and leave a really clean cut like a pair of scissors.
Which is better.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise you're tearing or cutting a fatter cut almost.
Yeah.
Which is more open. So if you can imagine like a wound, it's going to seal over quicker.
Yeah. Difference between cutting your hair with a pair of scissors and a blunt.
Yeah, you feel it. Yeah.
So
do you...
One will leave the ends all frayed and yucky, and one will leave it with a nice clean cut that will heal over quicker.
Yeah. How often do you get your mower blades sharpened?
The reel mower ones? Yeah. I'd normally get it ground at least every 2 years.
Okay, so most people could be more, or are you anal about it, or you're just 2 years is 2 years, it's cool.
When I feel that I can't adjust it and get a decent cut out of it anymore, I'll get it ground. But
so
you don't want to be
everything, because it's just about.
You don't want to be over grinding your reels because you're taking material off them and it's shortening the life of the product, obviously. So you don't want to be just getting a grind for the sake of it. If it's still cutting well, then it might just need an adjustment, and then away you go.
Yep. Where are we? It's funny because I'm listening and then I get lost with what I'm doing. Do you need a lot of water to keep a lawn nice, and can you have a nice lawn on a budget?
I guess we'll link that back into how big's the lawn
and what's the budget.
Yeah, I mean,
so absolute worst case scenario, if you could water your lawn with 10 or 12 mil a week,
you could.
You keep it alive.
Yep.
It's not going to be a nice lawn, I guess, if we can make some assumptions around this question. There's certain things you need that 20, 25 mil to be
I probably should touch on this earlier when we looked at, improving your soil, but the use of a soil wetter is so important.
And very underestimated and underused,
Absolutely.
I think. Yep. But if you're going to buy a wetter, you want to make sure it's a good wetter, not a heavily diluted hardware brand, or, there's enough information out there for people to find that.
And there's some products on the market that don't just break the surface tension of the soil and allow it in, but they actually stop the infiltration rate as well. So like a Viagra, for example, slows the infiltration rate of the water through the profile. So that's another way that you can prolong your watering cycle and use less water.
So you'll spend the money on the wetter now and save the money on the water later.
Correct. Yeah. So I probably should touch on that.
And so obviously they can buy quite generic versions of fertilizer as well if they're on a budget. I mean, organics,
you can shop
dynamic
around.
lifters.
Organics generally quite expensive compared to synthetic fertilizer.
For what you're getting out, okay.
Yeah. But you can certainly shop around.
Yep.
And instead of going to Bunnings or the Big Green Shed,
so you check their NPK.
Yeah, and look at the value. What's the value of this product?
Yeah.
How many applications am I going to get?
Yep. And do a simple maths. Like
Yeah.
if you're going to apply it as per the recommendation, or this is the result, you're going to get over a whole period, 5 litres is going to last you 2 months and it's costing you this, or is it going to last you 12 months and that false economy disappears?
Absolutely. So if you go to even a produce store,
Yep.
I mean,
those demand, like we used to do with the growers suppliers, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you can get a bag of fertilizer. It may not be slow release, but it may be in a form that has some slow release about it. So it might be in an ammonium form, and it might be $20 for 20 kilos.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And then there's people out there selling litres for $30 or bags, 5 kilo bags for $40, and and look, I get it. It's a commercial thing. We've been in the market long enough that you've seen landscape supply yards and turf resellers and hardware shops. The fertilizer's been where they've made some money. There's good margin there, and they'll just put a different brand on it, and it's still the same NPK, or it's diluted differently. And the consumer, they're not doing anything illegal or wrong. I guess it's just, I see a lot in the group that there's enough information there to enable the members of the group or the consumer to make sensible decisions with their own money.
Yeah.
And if they choose to buy one thing, that's up to them. They can choose to buy another thing, that's up to them. But I guess for you, it's important for them to be educated enough to make decisions.
Yeah, and look at the value. Okay, so don't look at the sticker price or the label,
the kilo, the gram price.
Well, how much is
actually
value is this going to provide me over a year? You could buy 10 litres of liquid fertilizer for
which doesn't go off
$65.
Yep.
Thereabouts. Your nitrogen and your iron.
Yep.
Which help green up the plant without giving a massive growth response. We can get a litre for $30. I mean, it's not hard to see where the value in each product is. So
and a lot of that's branding or margin or whatever for whatever company. Yep.
And looking at it from a perspective of looking at those 4 cornerstones, it's not your fertilizer that's going to give you the awesome lawn.
No.
And I do get worried sometimes when I see a comment on our group or on other pages where, what fertilizer do you use?
Yep.
Like that's the be all end all.
Yeah. Whereas, I mean, a better question might be, what NPK did you deliver in the last 2 weeks to get that result?
Yep.
Or
what's your lawn schedule rather than what fertilizer are you using?
Yep. Yep.
And I'm kind of worried that like the turf or
that's all they see. I mean, for the end user, a lot of times that's all they see. No one's thinking about water. No one's thinking about sun. No one's thinking about mowing. It's all about fertilizer, and that could be completely driven by the fertilizer manufacturers. I mean, these are big companies. If they've been pumping money into
marketing and showing photos,
the same as like you think about the dairy
product.
industry or the meat industry or the medical industry, they all want you to buy their stuff. So for the last 40 years, it's been fertilizer. Like if you've grown up just fertilizer, no one's ever said water. God, don't use natural stuff. Don't get some sunlight. Of course, people are going to go that way. So, and that's going to be a hard battle to tell people that it's not just fertilizer.
Yeah,
it's important.
You could use that analogy of those, cornerstones as we were talking about before with the dietary and fitness industry.
Yep.
The nutrients are your supplements.
Yeah.
And that's nothing without everything else.
That's right. Yeah, you need the water, you need the sun. Yeah. So you can have a nice lawn on a budget if you adhere to the 4 cornerstones, but it just depends on what your budget is.
Yeah.
But you don't need to waste money. So you can save money by mowing regularly, irrigating with an intelligent irrigation system and buying your fertilizers and nutrients smartly.
Yeah, in either bulk quantities.
And checking your value for money.
Correct.
Yes.
Perfect.
So, Stephen, some key tips for guys and girls just starting out. General rule of thumb for Mowing Heights. At what point do we consider babying our lawns too much? Should we let our grass go dormant as part of our yearly resting period? There's a lot of questions in there.
There is.
So firstly, some key tips for guys and girls starting out. I think we've just covered that in a few of the last questions. General rule of thumb for Mowing Heights. So obviously you've talked about the 1/3 rule. What heights are people aiming to be at for a cooch versus a kai versus a buffalo? Are they all treated differently? Are they all treated the same?
You can treat them all the same.
Yep.
It depends on how often you want to mow the lawn.
So if you only want to mow once a week, you try and leave it at 30 or 35?
Yeah, probably.
Mil? Oh, because every mil you add, the third becomes longer.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at it from the sense of, I want to maintain my lawn at 3 or 4 millimetres, like a golf green height.
You're mowing every day.
You're mowing every day, don't you?
Yeah. Because you can only take a mil off because it's a third. Yeah.
But if you want to maintain your lawn at 30 mil, well, that's probably more of a weekly thing.
Because then you've got 10 mil that you're chopping off at the end. Okay.
So
you get to a point where it's too long.
Correct. So cooch performs best below like 20 millimetres.
Yep.
Ideally, it's a very low growing grass. It has density below 20 mil. When it gets higher than that, it gets really leggy and really stringy.
Got examples of that here. Yep.
And it scalps really easily. It's not a nice grass.
And they're only the top bit's green, so as soon as you take it off, it's all brown, and then Kaikuyu and Buffalo, 30, 40, 30.
There's some guys using cylinder mowers on Buffalo, getting them down to 15, 20 millimetres.
That's crazy,
but they're mowing 3 to 4 times a week. So it's all dependent on how often you are prepared to mow.
So if they've just got a normal lawn mower, are they lowest setting or one up from the lowest setting? Obviously, this is a very generic kind of... It's hard to answer because you don't know the heights of these mowers, but they're getting pretty low. I mean, you can scalp a lawn pretty hard with a mower on its lowest setting.
You can.
On a rotary mower, yeah.
I think a rotary mower is much less forgiving on a lawn than a cylinder mower.
Because the other thing, I think a lot of people don't ever replace their blades. Like, I've never replaced my blades on my mower. Yeah. And you can just unbolt them. You don't even have to go get them sharpened. You just buy new blades. Yep. And I've never done it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've got a rotary mower and I just use it for renovation work. And I lift it up the back of the grass box flap, whatever it's called. And there was hardly any blades left.
Yeah, because you've worn... Yeah.
There's basically worn away. So having a sharp blade... obviously, improves the cut quality. And
that's probably an inexpensive upgrade to ensure the quality for a not so much for a cylinder, but for a rotary mower. I hope that's answered the question. General rule of thumb for Mowing Heights. Obviously, the general rule of thumb is that don't cut more than 1/3 and try to keep it at 30 mil or thereabouts if you want it to just be friendly residential.
That's like a good mix from all those...
Before you become crazy, babying your lawns too much. So at what point do we consider babying our lawns too much? I think we touched on that. When you don't let your children play on it, when you don't go on holidays because you can't leave your lawn, when you don't go to your friend's wedding because it's a renovation season, that's probably too far. I don't know if there's any other examples.
I just think that
their lawn's there to be used.
A lawn, it needs to have some sort of resilience and toughness. You can't just baby it along. You need to go out there and enjoy it and water it every week
period,
but like not every day. Then that's when you start getting issues.
Yep.
And should we let our lawns go dormant? Yeah. Well, you can't.
You're not letting it unless you get UV lights.
You can't beat nature.
Yep. That's why it works.
Yeah, you can't really have that choice. It's not really a choice.
So Brian asks, I'd absolutely love to get a grip on the best methods to get to a great lawn. Not all of us are knowledgeable in this area, and although the page is fantastic, it's intimidating. Maybe a simple breakdown, less scientific, of what the Plant Doctor products actually do and how to use them properly. For all lawn types, as most common folk have Sir Walter, and it is assumed it looks after itself. This is what would get me frothing. So we've talked about the best methods to get a grip on a great lawn, being the 4 cornerstones, which you really need to get a patent on somehow. They're probably not original ideas, but they are.
No, they're not. I mean,
you can make it.
Yeah.
You get the back of the t-shirt.
Yeah, cornerstones on the back, and then
the 1/3 cut. None of us are all knowledgeable in the area. Okay, so it's intimidating. Maybe a simple breakdown. less scientific of what the plant doctor. So okay, I think if you could give a less scientific breakdown of what the plant doctor products actually do and how to use them properly, that would be a good start.
All right. So the plant doctor, for those who don't know, they're one of our group sponsors.
Yep.
So they provide a
discount code. Yep.
For all purchases done through their online site, which is national delivery. I think over $100, it's free delivery.
Yep.
Massive amount of people using it.
Yep.
And the response has been really, really strong.
Yep.
So I guess the two main ones that they've got in their range would be the Seaweed Secrets, which is a kelp-based soil conditioner.
Yep.
Which is obviously all about, improving your soil quality.
Yep.
So getting microbes and getting organic matter into the soil.
Yep.
Rooting hormones.
So that it becomes
hormones.
an ecosystem more than just a dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's its own little
It turns from
village.
dirt into soil.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then obviously they've also got the Activate Mate, which is the NPK fertilizer.
Is it slow release or is it just a...
It's all organic,
Yep.
so it's slow release.
So, less scientific. I mean, I don't know how to answer that. I'm not sure if you do. I guess...
one's looking after the soil,
and one's looking after the
one's
plant.
actually feeding the plant.
And both of them have their place and their time, and then it's really just about adhering to their... I guess, so the plant needs food and the soil needs conditioner.
Yeah, but soil
That's
needs
what it's
food
doing.
too.
It needs food
Yeah.
for the plant to use.
Yep.
Obviously, as your plant's taking nutrients out of the soil, you're chopping it off and not you taking it away, you keep yours, but some people are dumping it.
Yep.
So you need to replenish the soil with those nutrients. For all lawn types, so most common folk have Sir Walter, and it's assumed it just looks after itself. So what's your opinion on that?
Well, it doesn't.
Nothing does.
No.
So it does need water. It does need mowing.
I mean, they market it as a low maintenance grass,
Yep.
which it is.
Yep.
When you compare it to other types of grass.
Yep.
But it's not no maintenance.
No.
It's a low maintenance.
And some of the negatives of that is that because it is a slow-growing turf, if something goes wrong with it, it's going to take longer to repair itself, which is why I've been a fan of Kikuyu at home for mine, because now I've got 3 kids. I had 2 dogs, and they were big Labradors, stupid dogs, just they didn't give a shit about my lawn. So they thought it was their lawn, to be honest. So Kikuyu was good for me because they'd dig a hole and it would just fill in and it would just grow back across, and it was, I guess, suitable. I know that Kikuyu is not a very popular turf variety in golf circles, but I think for mum and dad kids, it's easy. Buffalo, I haven't caught on to buffalo like everyone else. I've just been like, really? And especially the brands of buffalo, because Sir Walter's a name, Sir Granger's a name, Palmetto's a name, King's Pride's a name. They're all buffaloes.
Yeah.
And I see, and that's, I guess, this is just my opinion. Just do your research on your buffaloes, I think, before you buy them, and
I think
and know the turf variety, not just the name of
that particular variety or cultivar. That's really well marketed by
Yep.
Lawn
Yeah.
Solutions.
Yep.
And from what I've seen and what I've heard from people who've got that turf, it's good.
Yeah.
I don't know how well it goes in Adelaide though.
Well, that buffalo out there, I think, came from the turf farm. No one can see that, what I'm pointing at. We've got a turf display outside, which we don't look after and never have looked after, and that's what the buffalo looks like if you don't look after it, if you want to come and have a look. And that is not... Oh, maybe it is a Sir Walter. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I think sometimes people can get caught up in the brand names, and we've talked about this, I guess, in Fertilizer, when it's just the same stuff or it's slightly bred differently. But I've seen good buffaloes in Adelaide. I've seen good each variety in Adelaide. I think it comes down to what you do with it as much as the brand of the turf. But
Agree.
So I hope that answers what's Brian's question. It doesn't look after itself. And I think I'm hoping that what we've talked about in the podcast leading up to this question actually answers Brian's questions.
Hopefully.
Matt wants to know, where do you get your fake grass from? It looks awesome. But seriously, what's his spring and autumn reno schedule?
Okay.
So I guess there's a nice compliment there from Matt about your lawn.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Spring's a big one for me.
Yep.
Just about starting again, so a fresh base. So basically a scarification, core aeration generally.
So you use a scarifier, or do you mow down using a mower?
I use a scarifier.
Yep. So you go hire one or borrow one, or
my own.
you've got your own because you're a fanatic. Yep, cool.
If they're not that expensive to hire.
Yep.
And you might have a
bunch
couple
of
of mates
mates,
that potentially want to go thirds with you or halves with you
do
on
a weekend and
get stuck in, do your neighbour's lawn or whatever.
Yep.
Obviously, that removes all the organic matter that's on the top of the soil.
So what does it take it down to? Dirt and root.
Yeah, ideally.
Yep.
I'll take mine down to basically it's just dirt with a little bit of stubble hanging out the top.
Yep, and that gets it back at concrete level or whatever. Like you want to get it back down to the original height that it started.
Yep.
Because you've had a thatch potential build.
Yeah, it just gets a bit spongy after a while. Gets a lot of stem undergrowth in there.
And do you do that every year? Every spring?
I do.
Yep. Okay. But you don't have to.
Don't have to.
Yep.
No. But once you feel the lawn getting a bit spongy and getting a bit hard to mow because the mower's sinking in there, then it's a good time to look at renovating it properly.
So that's your spring.
That's obviously for warm season grasses though.
Yep.
So cooch, kikuyu,
because they will regrow.
Buffalo only has stolons. There's no underground runners.
Yep.
So you can't be as aggressive on that particular
you can chop it
grass
down,
type.
but you still want to have that matting.
You need to have the matting now, otherwise there's nothing to regenerate from.
So that's your spring and autumn reno schedule. So then
autumn, I don't really do anything in autumn.
No. So spring, you'll scarify it and then basically start irrigating and watering as required.
Yep.
Irrigating and watering, good one.
I'll give it obviously some nutrients as well.
Yep.
I might give it a bit of extra phosphorus in springtime.
But nothing too punchy because there's no leaf. Like you want to give it...
Just
whatever
bring it in slowly as the temperature rises.
Like
There's no point in pushing it too hard
give
too
it
early.
Some baby formula.
Yeah.
There's a question here saying, what pigments does he use to paint those lines? Now, I know that was a joke. I hope, Greg, that was a joke. But there are pigments that you can buy for turf.
I think like Lawn Solutions do a colour guard.
Yep. Which has got fertilizer in it as well? Or is it just paint?
You know what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't know. Cool.
But yeah, you can get fertilizer or, like I said, a pigmenting.
I know that there's landscapers and builders that have used it in those situations where they've planted lawns, say in May, and the temperatures haven't been enough for it to really take root, and it hasn't grown, and they've got an event coming up, or there's an open inspection, or the mayor's come in to cut a piece of tape. And do we have mayors? Yeah.
Want to make it look,
yeah, it's just got to look the business.
I mean, it's really hard, having a warm season grass in winter, particularly like southern states. Doesn't get the sun, doesn't get the heat. It just looks ordinary.
Yep.
So having that oomph of a bit of extra, fake colour, you can do it. I wouldn't bother, to be honest. So
for you, it doesn't matter because your lawn it's a reflection of what you've done. You don't want a fake result. Whereas these guys probably need it because it's
maybe that.
Yeah. How do you keep your lawn weed free all year round? Thanks to Duncan.
So, in winter time, the beginning of winter, probably more so in autumn, I'll use a pre-emergent herbicide.
Okay. So explain that to the 90% of people that have no idea what that is.
Okay. So that's a herbicide that's applied and sits in the soil. Mm-hmm. So it's either sprayed on or use a granular product that's then watered in.
Yep.
Basically, when a weed germinates and puts a root into that particular barrier, it dies.
Okay. So
there are some downsides to this though.
Yep.
Okay. So there's products that are root absorbed and products that are shoot absorbed. So the products that are root absorbed can damage the roots of your grass that you want to keep there. So
it's important to buy the product that's right for the right turf variety as well. I'm assuming there's different pre-emergents for kai and rye and
there are, I mean, there's some there that can do sort of all of the brands, or sorry, all of the varieties of turf.
Are these products that you can buy off the shelf? Are they homeowner?
You can now, homeowners can now get the Embargo, which is a liquid Group D pre-emergent, so it's root absorbed.
And it's not going to harm you if you don't drink it, basically. You can use the normal precautions and wash your hands. I think just
the
follow
schedule
the
on that's actually, I don't think it's even registered as a poison. I have to check. And then you can get your granular product, which is your Oxifert or...
And Embargo is the main name.
Yeah, it's...
There's obviously different brands.
Orizolan is the active ingredient, or Barricade as well.
Yep. So there's different... So it's kind of like glyphosate. Once it opens up to the market, you've got everyone selling it under a different name and,
Pretty much. I mean, they all kind of work the same way, but they've got different active ingredients.
Yep.
Okay, so your Barricade and your Oxif and your Embargo, they're your Group D root absorbed pre-emergents, which would do your winter grass, which would do your paspalum, which would do crow's foot, various other grassy weeds primarily, so ryegrass, and then you've got your Oxifert, which is a granular product which is shoot absorbed, so it doesn't damage the roots at all. So really good for post renovation. So after you've done a renovation, you can put down your Oxifert
because you've exposed the soil to the sun.
Yeah.
And so there's a higher likelihood of the roots.
Yep, and you don't want to impact the roots coming back on your grass plant.
So what product's that?
Oxyfert.
And you use that?
I haven't used it personally, no.
No, you just know about it?
No. It's sort of, and then from there we can look at cultural practices as well. So not overwatering too much, deep and infrequent.
Yep.
You know, think about trying to get a weed.
root to zone down here.
Yeah, or a seed to germinate, you water it regularly.
Yep.
So trying to take away that particular environment where it's going to flourish.
Yep.
And watering, deeply and infrequently, and having obviously a dense canopy as well prevents the light from getting to the weed down below.
Makes sense.
So yeah, it's a combination of things. If you can't control when you're putting water down, so for in Adelaide, for example, wintertime it rains fairly frequently, not very deeply obviously, so you get a lot of weed germination from your poa annua, which is obviously winter grass, which is
like the devil.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's much easier.
They have seminars. Like I knew Nathan was saying that he'd been in Sydney. They had supers are getting together and talking about poa for long periods of time to try and combat a national problem. So,
and I don't think people realise just how much of a problem that plant is.
Yeah.
So if you can treat that with the pre-emergent before it even comes up.
Yeah. Which is pretty much
bonus.
The main thing, and that's if the pre-emergent can actually handle the strain. Because what Nath was saying is that the plant might have one of them that morphs and can handle the poison, and then that seeds out, and all of a sudden you've got
You're off. Yeah.
But
yeah, so on those pre-emergents, particularly the
so that's the first. So definitely pre-emergent will help stop them from emerging. Obviously, other than that, spot spraying, weeding,
hand weeding. Yeah, just walk around your lawn.
Yep,
a couple times a week and just pull them out. Like
grab
it's not that hard.
A patience tin.
Yeah,
grab a patience tin. Patience tins. I'm referencing stubby holders that are sitting here for those of you that are listening. Patience tins are beers, in most cases, ciders in some, vodkas in minimals, but a drink that you drink to help you with the patience as your lawn does its thing. So I'm guessing that was around like long processes, like establishments and
getting to the point where you're getting angry. It's not happening. Yeah. Oh, I want a green lawn now.
Have a patience tin.
Have a beer and just relax.
Because we're not saving lives. Stephen asks, how can I hide my water and fertilizer bills?
Send them to your work potentially.
Yeah, so get a post office box.
Yep.
Alternatively, you can organise maybe your neighbour to check your letterbox if they're home during the day before your partner or financial advisor gets them. That's probably all I got.
Yeah. I mean, fertiliser bills, you can probably shop around, look at the value again.
Be smart about how you're buying.
Yep. And look at it as an investment. Like my wife, she gives me grief all the time.
Or buy in bulk.
She gave me grief about...
And bag it down and sell it and make a profit to your neighbours.
Yeah, planting a ryegrass lawn when my house is about to be demolished. And I said, just look at it as an investment.
Yeah. And did she ask you to elaborate on that? Because that is just a sentence.
Yeah, but I said, I'm investing in my own sanity. And I'm going to be...
It's an investment in your happiness of your husband.
Yeah, and I'm going to be in a good mood because I'm out spending some time on the lawn.
Yeah. The other thing you could do is buy fertiliser in bulk and then charge your neighbours to fertilise their lawns and make a profit.
Yeah, or I could be at the pub right now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, true. I'll go to the pub once I've finished fertilising. It's cut my pub time back. Do you agree that stripes are overrated? There is two camps. There's stripe and no
there's
stripe.
carpet and there's stripes.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want. I mean, it's your lawn. If you don't like stripes,
don't do them. Yeah. I don't really care, but I know Matt who works here. He's got a cylinder mower, yeah, and he'll never stripe. I mean, he's got Kikuyu, so it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
But he likes the carpet. Some people do, some people don't. It's each to their own. So I guess Graham Simon doesn't want to answer that question.
Do I think stripes are overrated?
No,
I don't. However, I do understand that some people don't like them, and they're a bit over the top.
And the double stripes are better, and the diamonds are even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the single fat, like the double. And
double single.
Whatever. It's your lawn. Express. Yeah. If you don't like the stripes, they're cool. I mean, I've got some good photos this year of just carpet. And I'll look at it. That's visually appealing.
I think the stripes is definitely saying to the world, look at my lawn. Like, it's a confident pattern Whereas you can drive past along and go, oh, there's nice and green. But then like, whoa, that guy's got like,
Yeah.
what's he done there?
Almost like
or she.
Yeah. Anyone can do the carpet, but
to get the stripes is another level.
Yeah.
What plant growth regulator should Nathan use, and why should he use it when his lawn is growing?
Okay. So this is like an advanced thing.
Yeah.
Like
so PGR,
once you've got yourself to an 8 out of 10.
Yeah. So then
this is probably something we're looking at now. How do we get to a 9?
Yep.
How do I dream about getting to a 10?
I was say, are there 10s? Can you give a 10?
No, I don't think so.
No, there's no 10s.
No, it's
not
not
like the 9.6s and shit like
Yeah.
that. Yep, cool.
So
PGR, talk to me.
plant growth regulator. Trinixapac.
Yep. That's a brand?
It's what it's
Or
active
it's
ingredient.
okay, that's
So,
the active.
I think it's used to be Trinex. What's it called now? Astro.
Yep.
Turf culture product. Get the Primo Max from
Utah or
Syngenta.
Globe? Yeah, so they sell it, yep.
Basically, it's a foliar absorbed product into the grass,
Yep.
and it blocks a certain pathway that slows down the shoot growth of the plant. So less mowing, directs more energy into root growth, into stem growth. So getting a healthier plant.
Yep. So deeper roots.
Yeah.
shorter.
Tightens up the density as well.
Yep.
So more leaves per area.
Yep. Is this the kind of thing? I mean, I worry sometimes that because it's been on TV or it's been on a Facebook page that everyone's going out and putting PGRs out and they have no idea why or what they're doing. Is this one of those products that could be great if used properly but dangerous for amateurs? Is it kind of... Well, you're not going to do any damage. You're just going to waste money. Because it's expensive, isn't it?
It's about $100 a litre.
Yeah.
And an average home that would last probably 3 years. So it's not that expensive.
Not too bad.
But it's sort of like...
But yeah.
It's like going out and buying a Ferrari, for example, and you can't drive yet. Just work on those basics, and once you've got that under control...
Then it's the next level.
And then it's the next level from there.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, I use it. It's awesome.
It's
I love it.
Yep.
But you need to just get everything else, all the ducks in a row, and then, okay, that's my next step, PGR.
Yep.
And then maybe some equipment. And
so what's the other next step to go to 9? Is that it?
Probably equipment.
Yep.
Yeah.
So buying high quality scarification mowers, edges, corers if you really need to. You put it.
Yeah, and then you might want to look at really fine tuning your nutrient inputs.
Yeah. Like getting soil tests done.
Yeah, getting soil tests done, and then using those real professional grade products,
like the stuff that they'd be using on golf courses and tennis courts. And
so when Nathan came in, like the gear that he would use, you want to mimic what he does on his golf course. Sorry
about that. We do have an operational business where we record the podcast, and I have some very excited staff. So if anyone heard that was Brandon.
It is Friday after all.
Of a public holiday weekend.
Yeah.
So you're saying Nathan,
you want to mimic what he's doing, but on obviously a smaller scale.
Tone it back a bit. They've got 14 staff or something, so maybe more. Sorry if that was the wrong number, Nath. Where are we? So plant growth regulators. What setting should I put my Hortex on? I'll answer that question. 3 or 4. For those that were listening at the start. Thanks, Glenn. Jared just wrote lawn level tips. I'm guessing that's how do I get my soil prep level before I put my lawn down? When you do your base prep, do you use just a leveler? Do you use a screed? Do you use a whacker? Do you use a roller? Like, what's your process?
You probably wouldn't use a whacker.
Well, I'm seeing guys doing it that have come off golf courses. Nathan said no. Yeah. I've got another guy that does. Everyone's different. Matt's like, oh, a whacker, that's really going to start just really pushing the turf onto the soil. And I know Michael, who does, I've seen him use a whacker. I'd be interested if he's listening to comment below as to why and what his views are. But
is this before or after you put the turf?
He's put the whacking the loam,
and then putting the turf on top, and then whacking it again.
I think so. So I mean obviously whacking the loam closes off the loam for root growth, but he's been on a golf course. I mean he knows his stuff. But then Nathan's also on a golf course, and he's saying no.
I think just be really careful with that.
Yep. Because you can't slow a whacker down enough
to... roots will only exist as long as there's air.
Yeah.
If you squish all the air out of it, then that's not going to work.
So back to the question then, lawn levelling. How do you level for prep?
Certainly you need to solidify the base first.
Consistently solidified as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can dump it with water, and that will help, obviously, self-level it out as well, and pull out any air pockets in there. You could screed it off.
Yep.
You could...
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen people dragging around pallets trying to get the rough level.
Depends on the size as well.
Yeah, it's a bit harder.
I would rake it out first to get the chunks of, because usually you're wheelbarrowing in and dumping lumps which are going to be compacted at the base of that lump, then you're spreading it out and then trying to get the consistency the same around those lumps. We used to do it by hand, using a screed like you would concrete. Some people will use a lawn leveler, which is just a stick with a thing on the end of it. It's really up to everyone's.
I mean, personally, I would probably look at bringing in your material, rough leveling it, so it's pretty good
within the kind of 2 or 3 centimeters.
And then watering it, letting it dry out a little bit, and then finally.
I used to walk a loam and like to step and just do the whole thing. Depends how important it is to you. You know, and we were charging
more time now, the better.
So
post, if there's any, because it's going to happen, you're going to get some settling of the soil, particularly with a new lawn. Sand is the best thing to use afterwards to level out your lawn.
Got a question here from a guy called Dallas.
Sounds like a bit of a
know-it-all.
Rusty.
Rusty, I don't know. That must be his nickname. With arguably one of the best lawns in Australia and some parts of the country gripped by drought and water restrictions, what products and or services could I do or use to improve water retention to maximise a limited watering schedule? Ooh.
Dallas.
Maybe he's... Yeah, Dallas from Memphis. No, anyway. Dallas from Texas. I don't know where he's from.
Corbin Dallas.